Okay, hello, welcome. This is webinar 5 of a series of 6. We've been going through the whole unfair advantage method. I'm Martin Bailey. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder of Elysian Fields. So I want to take you through the webinar around jobs to be done. So I'm going to crack on very quickly. There's a little bit about us, just so you've got some understanding as to who you're listening to. Let me just do this. There we go. Right. So we're a collection of very experienced marketing people, and we've created a very modular, efficient system to get you from unclear about your positioning through to a growth and a marketing machine. The method that we follow takes you from positioning through go-to-market through the creation of a growth machine. Now that's with some of our partners. We've got GrowthFox working with us on the optimization. We've got a company called Square working on account-based marketing and content. The point being is that we're able to pull together a whole marketing machine for you in a very efficient, quick time. So today, jobs to be done. We're looking at what it is, why it's important, how to use the methodology, and how to apply it to marketing. Now, why are we talking about this? Well, Elysian Fields has been created because clients come to us and say, our marketing doesn't work. And what we find is that it's the tactics that are not working. The clients have strategic issues such as competing with incumbents or becoming more efficient or outwitting competitors. And these are not problems that can be solved with marketing tactics. They can only be solved with strategy. You need insights, you need positioning, and then you need a testing methodology. Now, these things are hard to build. You have to go through a particular process for it. The unfair advantage method that we're talking about and have talked about in this webinar series is very modular, and it's been collected in order, created, if you like, and curated and pulled together in order to be as efficient as possible. Now, we focus on helping businesses create an unfair advantage in their pursuit of growth, which means using our methodology to be as efficient as possible in creating a very tangible outcomes for clients. We do it for established B2B businesses. They are businesses that have been trading, that have either decent enough investment behind them, or increasingly are private equity backed as well. An example of what an unfair advantage might look like, a marketing unfair advantage, well, our friend Manu, who is a investor and a partner, helps Elysian Fields as an investment strategy. He talks about the fact that when he invested in Revolut, which is an online bank, their customer acquisition cost was less than $1 versus their competitors who are at $20. You can see growth and all kinds of great returns can come if you can get your customer acquisition cost down. So that's a marketing unfair advantage. Our difference is that we combine marketing strategy and lots of brand and growth experience with commercial and investment experience. So we can look at the problems with a like a board member would. Our customers are scale-up growth stage businesses. We work with venture capital portfolio businesses. We help train businesses in portfolios and accelerators, and we have lots and lots of enterprise experience too. So how it works is you focus on insights, and critically with B2B, there tends to be very few really killer insights. So the whole of the first few webinars of this series was about insights and about the process. Then you do the creative leap, which is the strategic process of getting you to an interesting positioning and a kind of a provocative point of view. Once you have that point of view, you can go to market and we come up with plans, and then we help develop a methodology for testing and scaling across channels, marketing activity across channels. We have partners in PR and growth and content, etc. What happens, what you get out is you get what Square, our partners, called swagger, which is after 12 18 months of, rebranding, perhaps new website, perhaps new content, definitely, consistent marketing, and consistently sticking to that provocative point of view that we've established, you get a swagger, you get a confidence, and people start coming to you. So classic kind of inbound marketing opportunity. If you have that confident positioning, you become bigger fishes in whatever pond you're swimming in. And after a period of time, say 18 months, you tend to get bigger deals. You either get acquisition or you get the biggest customers that you have hoped to get. It takes a bit of time. There is no quick fixes, but what you can do is you can make sure that by sticking to the plan, all of your luck, if you like, is compounded. So we think marketing should be run like product development. We have a product background too. So we're thinking, how do we test and create design principles to deliver marketing that works? And that leads us very neatly onto jobs to be done. So jobs to be done is a very, very established thought. And but many people, I guess, talk about it. Few maybe are practitioners in it. We're going to talk about what it is, why it's important, how to discover the jobs for your product, and how to use them for marketing. Now, you might know from the webinar activity that if you've been in any of the previous ones, that we have 4 core insights that we always work to create or capture or discover for customers. The first is understanding the vision of the business. The second is understanding what the buyer's real problem is. The third is understanding the context of that buying journey, which is alternatives and workarounds and how they're trying to solve the problem at the moment. And the fourth is a framing of your, if you like, secret sauce or anything you've got that's distinctively different. We call it a new thing because we're talking about creating something newsworthy from a PR perspective. So jobs to be done can be found within the thinking about the problem and thinking about the alternatives and the workarounds. They can't necessarily be found in what you're building from a product perspective, even though it will be impacted by the insights that you capture, and it won't necessarily be connected to your vision. In this process, we're going to go into this little area of the problem and the alternatives and the workarounds. So what happens with these insights is that we combine them together in a classic old school Venn, and you end up with, understanding the buyer, understanding the market, and understanding the product. All of the insights are combined, and out of the back of that, you get a value proposition, and then you get what I've mentioned already, which is a provocative point of view. This allows you to position yourself in marketing, in the market. Without being provocative, you basically get ignored. So let's look at these areas in the process. What happens is we take all of the insights and we go through a process of creating segments and understanding the jobs, and then understanding the value proposition, understanding the positioning, and then we come up with plans and segments and funnels. And so this whole process of positioning to go to market, a growth machine, is very, very formulaic, and it's very efficient. Now, jobs is critical within this. And it's why I think we've come up with particularly powerful positionings, and why our customers have found such value in the insight process that we go through. What are jobs? So there's a few fathers, men mostly, of jobs to be done. One of them is Tony Ulwick, and Bob Moesta is another one, and obviously Clayton Christensen on the right-hand side is another. So what you have is the idea that companies, rather than just talking about the product and the customer together, they should be trying to understand the process that the customer is deploying already to get a job that they need done. Now, this can apply to B2C and B2B. I'm going to reference both today, but the customer is trying to execute something. They're trying to use a product or service to get something done, and that's the job. And it's based on the insight that we hire products to do things for us. We're trying to achieve something. So Jim Kalbach, who wrote another book on the subject, talks about focusing on people's objectives, independent of the means used to achieve them, because they could use any solution to get this job done. Jobs to be done offers a structured way of understanding customer needs and helping predict better how customers might act in the future too. So this goes beyond the person, and we'll explore that a bit more. Another way of looking at it, which I thought was very useful from another practitioner, is that customers aren't buyers, they're job executors. Therefore, markets are defined as groups of people trying to get a job done. Competitors are therefore any solution that could be used to get a job done. It could be the use of email or Excel, or it could be the use of talking to somebody, or it could be the use of hiring an intern. Customer segments are based on how customers struggle differently to get the job done. Now, there could be several jobs trying to get done. There could be one main one. The example, a useful one, if you think about Facebook, people who are uploading photos to share to their family and friends, they could be, a mum or a dad. They could be a student. They could be a grandma. Each, from a profile perspective, very different. The job they're trying to get done is they're trying to share a photo, for example, in order to be proud of something for their friends, promote themselves about something. They're showing a photo of a child or something, or an event. Either way, that pride is to be proud, to spread the photo, to get people to comment. Doesn't matter who they are. So that leads us on to the thought that the job is not just the person. It's obviously people are getting jobs done, but the job is independent of the person. So if you think about personas, a classic marketing tool, they are clusters of personal attributes. They are your demographic, psychographic, life stage, blah, blah, blah. The challenge is that if you look at functional products, which is a product that solves a problem, then the person hiring that product, and there's a lot of those products out there. We're not talking about kind of fashion. We're talking about most other products that have a functional benefit to them. People are hiring that product to get something done, knowing if they're old, young, their gender and race and country, that doesn't help you very much. It helps you with targeting for marketing, but it doesn't help you understand how to talk about the product you're selling. It's a media distribution targeting thing. It's not a messaging thing. So if we look at it regarding, classic advertising, this is a Snickers ad. I showed it in one of the previous webinars. It's a good one to show. The target, we just want to buy media against, say, men. That's as much as you need. The job to be done is that those men are trying to satisfy hunger. I'll just play this ad.
Mike, what is your deal, man?
Come on, man. You've been riding me all day.
Mike, you're playing like Betty White out there.
That's not what your girlfriend said.
Baby.
Whoa.
Use Snickers. Better?
Better. I'm up back. That hurt.
You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfied.
Okay, so really simple example where you have a target, which is probably men, maybe not exclusively, but a lot of their campaigning is quite masculine and focused on male activities. And the job is the hiring the product for is to satisfy the hunger. So understanding the job can be very creative. Okay, this came out of some work that Clay Christensen was hired. This is one of his stories anyway. There's a bunch, but this is a classic one. So if you haven't heard it, I'll repeat it for you. So the idea that milkshakes, what you'd think was just purely about taste and about texture and about flavor, obviously, and distribution. The fast food chain asked them to help them increase their sales of milkshakes. They looked at everything from demographic analysis to customers and psychographic. They couldn't find any difference. Remember this clustering again. There was no cluster that said milkshake buyer, right? Mums bought it, kids bought them, dads, whatever. What they found is that actually people were buying milkshakes to help provide sustenance for a long commute. A lot of milkshakes, 40% were hired in the morning. Wow. Milkshake for breakfast? It wouldn't naturally come to mind. What they discovered was that actually there's lots of things you could have on your commute in the car. And the competitors to the milkshake was not anything else on the fast food chain's menu. It was things like, okay, a quick energy bar or banana. Maybe there's a bit of mess to that, crumbs and banana skins. Bagels were used as well in the morning, but the problem with bagels is that they are quite dry and potentially messy if they're not dry, and therefore they'll maybe leave you thirsty. Coffee is used, but it's not really a breakfast food, and it's a lot of liquid. So milkshakes were being hired versus those competing solutions for breakfast on a commute. They were being hired to provide food and drink in one handy compartment, and actually for their longevity. So they were interesting enough to slurp on for 40 minutes on a commute. So this is reframing products. This is saying that even perhaps something that is purely what would feel like a very kind of light consumption, no thinking kind of acquisition, a milkshake, is being hired for very specific needs. So if it's not obvious, this can be useful for marketing, but let's go into kind of how. If we think about the job getting done, it involves a process. In the case of a milkshake, it's kind of choosing flavors, it's not very complex, but there's a context here. So Des Trainer's been brilliant at Intercom in spreading kind of the wisdom of getting jobs to be done. A couple of nice quotes. He's saying, focus on the job and the context, the breakfast requirements. Then you can really develop products tailored for what the customers are already trying to do. They're trying to go on a 40-minute commute and arrive filled, having had breakfast. Therefore, some kind of breakfast shakes might be a really interesting creation for commuters, with full of healthier things in perhaps than your standard milkshake. So it opens up new opportunities for innovation. It also gives you a much better lens on competitors, he says. If you think about the situational context that triggers people to use the products, then you're thinking about the competitor set. We talked about that, energy bars or bananas. So let's look at context. This idea of the context of when somebody is buying something fits very, very neatly into a lot of studies around how brands grow. And this is, you'll know as a marketer, I'm sure, there's 2 seminal books on the subject, both of that title, parts 1 and 2. So what you get is this idea of physical availability of a product, its distribution, and its mental availability. So how much I think about that product. So as marketers, we're more and more understanding the importance of triggers for mental availability. So it's a bunch of weird jargon, but let's break it down. So the quote is, the brand's mental availability is its accessibility from memory across the range of situations and needs that buyers in that category encounter. It gets hot, you want an ice cream. You're thirsty, it's hot, you might want a Coke. Let's think about what triggers your memory of a brand. So memories, it would appear, are constructed and consisted of these nodes. These nodes are kind of little moments. We'll go into specifically what they are in a second, but they are connected together. So I've got examples here of location and need and person, event and object, maybe 1,000 different nodes. These are associated, they're linked together in your memory. So that's why smell triggers a memory from your past, for example. So if we look at these particular nodes, our job as marketers is to establish our brand with one of these areas, one of these nodes. So a brilliant strategy is, thank Crunchy, it's Friday for the Crunchy bar, or have a break, have a Kit Kat. These are moments where we go, I'm having a break, I'm going to have a Kit Kat. Now, you'd be foolish to abandon that kind of associative strategy from a big brand perspective. Let's look at some examples here. So I've taken the idea of, and I apologize to, I'm not a Man U fan, but this is a pretty well-known example, so I'm using it. Take David Beckham and his associations with Adidas, with Manchester United Football Club, with the World Cup through the years, and then particularly with the Predator football boots, which are attached to Adidas. There should be a little link there as well. So if you think about things that might connect all of these nodes, you have semantic connections, triggers. So you might have words like Beckham. You might have the meaning, which is, good looking footballer, can curve the ball, etc. So you've got all this kind of meaning attached to the words. Episodic is World Cup, it's a moment, it's a time. Implicit is what you do when you don't think. So you might turn on the telly and watch a game on a Saturday. You might automatically go to adidas.com or nike.com or something when you're thinking about sports stuff. So when it comes to football boots, you might always be looking at a certain type of football boot. So this is implicit. And then sensory is all of your senses, your smells, touch, etc. So if we think of the connections between these nodes, you have all these different senses and thoughts and words connecting all these little tiny bits of memory. They together create these memory structures, which are associative. So if you think about all these memory structures, that we have lots of associated memories constructing or making even bigger memory. The How Brands Grow thinking looks at the idea of category entry points, CEP. So there's the idea that any category could be you could have a trigger into that category. It's sunny, I want an ice cream. I'm thirsty, I want a fizzy drink. So let's look at what they think and have been proven out what these kind of 5 category entry point areas could be. It's your classic kind of why I want it. I'm hungry. I want to feel better. I want a chocolate in the afternoon because I'm low on energy, etc. Where? I'm out on holiday. I always have, a beer before 12 o'clock on holiday. When? Well, might be a breakfast time thing, a snack time, when I'm commuting. With who or whom? Well, we always have an ice cream when we're with the kids. I buy a rose when I'm on a date. With what? So this is the associations of consumption at the same time. So you might go to the cinema and have popcorn, right? That might be a where, but it might be also a what. So with a movie, I'll have popcorn. So all of these associations. Now, what's quite interesting here is that we always use these associations. I'm in a movie, I want some popcorn, to retrieve these memories of brands. And we'll retrieve these memories of other things like, oh, remember we were in the movies last time we watched James Bond. It doesn't have to be a brand, obviously, but this is how memory structures work. Any of these entry points into a brand or entry points into a memory could be insightful for a job, getting a job done. So if we think about this a little bit more, big brands have lots and lots and lots of these links. So, and they might have several jobs they're getting done. Now, Snickers might be to stave off hunger, but that's the one that they've decided is primary, but it also might be a sugar hit. So that might be when your energy is low. It's not just hunger, it's sugar. It might be breakfast on the go, right? So there's going to be lots of ways in, and big brands have lots of them. So if you think about Snickers, it could be to satisfy my hunger, but it could also be a few other things. I could have it at work, but I could have it in commute, or I could have it before a game. I could have it when I'm in a rush, or even when I'm wanting something kind of indulgent in the evening. With whom? Well, it could be at work and with meetings, and I might be having it with a drink, like a Coke. So you can see how the importance is of brand building is to create lots of associations. Let's go back to our friend Beckham. Now, there's lots of associations associated with the Beckham story. And let's take the Predators as one type of football boot that has become well known. And he's talking about the 2002 World Cup here. That's an association. He's talking about playing in the boots. So he's talking about his being good. The image before is him wearing the boots, and he's been wearing them for many, many years. So there's lots of associations here alongside style and his attitude. So if we look at the category entry points for the Predator, it might be why? Well, for a boy wanting to play football and choosing the Predators, it might be because they want to be like their idol. They might want to impress their mates. They might want to perform better. Where? Park, school, club. When? Well, at training. When they're watching Man U, that might be an entry point to thinking about the boots. They might be at the Saturday match and they might be thinking, oh, crikey, I need better boots. With whom? Well, obviously there's the people watching, trying to impress coaches, impressing friends. All of these are kind of triggers, okay? So with what is kind of what they're buying alongside the boots or thinking about when they think about the boots. It's not just what they're doing when they're using it, but what they're doing when they're thinking about the product. So let's look at all of those category entry points along the journey of thinking about it, buying a product, and the ongoing experience of the product. Now, there are a number of ways of looking at the buying journey, and we use at Elysian Fields a version of this that I wanted to kind of simplify it around the idea of events, and this was less complicated than the one that we use in our workshops and in our day-to-day work. So it always comes down to the first thought. So the process of jobs to be done is to go back into the first thought. What were you trying to achieve when you first thought about this? What triggered that first thought? It could be just watching David Beckham, but then a thought will come. If only I could play like him. So a thought is the core starting point. So I just want to kind of play with this a little bit. It might be that trigger is watching Manchester United. It might be they're at training and thinking, I need new boots. What you want to do is interview your customers and say, okay, someone who's just recently purchased something, and say, describe where you were when that thought came. Give me a picture of it. Where were you? What were you feeling? What were you wearing? What were you thinking? That way you're understanding the context and you're understanding the insight of the decision process, however fleeting. Walking into a fast food chain going, I'm hungry, right? How are you feeling? Well, I'm in a rush. Okay, so you're not going to want something that takes a long time. All of this is very contextually important. So what did you want to achieve? What were you worried about? What were you stressed about, etc. Over time, what will happen is you'll unpick all of the events and you'll go from the idea of passively looking at something and thinking that's interesting to then actively looking. And it might be over time you go, look, my first thought was to play like Beckham, but then I thought, well, actually, I want to look really good in front of my mates. And what triggered that was when I was in the park and I just didn't perform very well. Then I was thinking, actually, I want to perform really, really well. I need to perform my best. And that was when I decided I needed to buy the best. I persuade my parents to buy the best. And that was when I was at the football club with my coach and blah, 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 blah. And then I wanted something that went with my kit when I was, at home and practicing. And then when I was using the product, it was about impressing my dad. All of these are kind of very rational. They feel rational, but you can feel also the emotion in it. And it's important to think of it through the job someone's trying to get done, because actually that will be the emotion, not just the objective. It's all the emotions are always driving the objectives. So you might want to create a job story from this, which is when I'm in this situation, I'm motivated to achieve this thing, this motivation, so that I can have this particular outcome. Now, what's interesting here is that you've got a very simple statement, and you might be familiar with job stories. The idea is that on a single piece of paper, you'll say, right, the problem we're trying to solve is this. The job story is associated with the activity is this. The measures of success in the eyes of the buyer is this, and in the eyes of us are this, and what's the scope of the project. So you might want to think, okay, what would be the job stories for buying football boots, for example, or the job stories for buying a milkshake? In interactive marketing, you want to get someone motivated to be involved with your marketing. So the job might be to help me play my best, and I'm working for Adidas Predator right now. When I want to play my best on Saturday, I want to have proven football boots used by pros, so I can outperform my peers. Now, this is very leading, but let's take this example. The situation is playing your best on a Saturday. So as at Adidas, we could produce a bunch of content around how to be great weekend football player, not just randomly talking about how clever David Beckham is, but all about the specific requirements you need to think about to be great on a Saturday. Then if we're selling something that has been used by pros, Then let's have the professionals talking about why the boots are better for them. And then let's talk about how actually the boots, when they're worn by younger people, for example, on a Saturday, help them outperform their peers. Now, these are pieces of content, their websites, their TikToks, whatever. Doesn't matter. There's just things that frame the boot in relationship to the job to be done, which in this instance is to help a younger person play at their best. So that's a B2C example. I'm going to go now into B2B because it's quite specific to our experience currently with Elysian Fields. So let's look at how products can be understood through this filter. There are 4 influencing forces at play when people are making decisions. And this is by another Jobs to be Done practitioning business called Rewired. Now, there are reasons to switch a product, going from one piece of, say, software to another piece of software. And there are reasons really not to. And often people, from a marketing perspective, will say the problem we have is inertia or apathy, or the sales cycle takes too long. And what you're dealing with there is that there is vast inertia, this fear of making a decision. And sales cycles take a long time because we, the marketing and sales professionals, have not made it easy to buy. We have not said, here are all the really great reasons to do it, combined with all the real ways of removing the fear. We've said, we're great, good luck. We haven't said, we're great, and here's all the guarantees and the safety nets that we're going to provide you to make sure that you can achieve what you need to achieve. And that's the difference between a long sales cycle and a short one. Obviously, there's going to be context with lots of decision makers, but when there's an urgency, people make decisions. So if you look at this model here, you've got the existing solution, which is business as usual. No one gets fired for kind of not doing anything. And what you see often with CPG brand management is they try not to do very much at all, often for very good reasons. So you've got the existing solution, and then you've got the new solution, and it could be a new behavior. So I'm going to go from something which is my current behavior to a new behavior. Obviously, that means change, which equals scary. So we're trying to go take this step by step. And we're trying to say, hey, there's a bunch of benefits to switching. We know that there's going to be current pains, and they're going to be pushing you to find ways of making it better. Okay, and then there's going to be this promise of the Elysian Fields, right, which is the hallowed ground, the fantasy that you're wanting to kind of get to. So the better way is beckoning. So that's the reasons to switch. Everyone goes, yes, we want to make more money, get more sales, reduce churn, increase revenue, all that kind of stuff. Everyone knows what they were trying to do. If you just go out there and say that, everyone goes, yes, not. What actually happens is you have this whole ton of reticence and fear. So you've got this issue of comfort. And this is like, well, we know what we're doing right now. And then you've got this anxiety over change. So you've got comfort on one hand and anxiety about change. And obviously people weigh up the risk and the rewards, and you have this whole idea of, the pain of adoption and adoption theory and stuff. But the point is it all comes down to, I know I want to go in this direction, but I'm worried. So let's look at this through the filter of a journey of purchasing. Right now, I've got a first thought, I think we might need something else for our pain. We have a problem, we need some software. You go back and you ask recent purchases, what were you doing before you bought our product? Okay, were you involved in buying that? So who and why and where? Talk to me about the decision process of trying to solve a particular pain. What was the main problems? Who else was involved? What was their role? Tell me about the old solution. Was it working? Who was using it? So they've got a pain, you can uncover the pain, but you really want to understand kind of the decision journey. The push of the current pain will get them into this place of the category, and they'll start thinking about the category. And obviously you only want people who are in the category in some capacity, even if they're just thinking in 12 months time. You don't want to be creating a market unless you're going after early adopters and you've got a brand new product. So within journey of an awareness of the problem. Obviously, there's a whole other strategy around creating the problem and how you establish new problems for new products. But let's talk about people who have some known pain, regardless of the problem. They've got a pain. What were they using before? What were they thinking about? How is it working? They're passively absorbing information. They're not sure if they have a problem that is worthy of a new product. They're not sure if their product is broken. This is passive phase is all about establishing that there is a problem. And in an emerging category, and we covered some of this in the insight process of our webinars before, in emerging categories, you want to establish a problem. In slightly more mature categories, you want to say why your widget is better than the incumbent widgets. Sometimes that's about creating new problems, but sometimes it isn't. The point is you're trying to understand the problem at this stage, but you're trying to understand the customer's attitude to the problem and if it's worth going through the pain of relieving that pain or that problem. When they start looking at solutions, maybe you've been talking to them, they are the target audience, you've been dealing with personas around types of buyers, the types of businesses, firmographic information is giving you a broad persona. And you're going, I think it's companies, in the healthcare sector who are this size, and you're going, fine. You've been surrounding them with problem messaging to kind of say, actually, there is a new way. And they've gone, oh, maybe there is a new way. So your problem warm-up messaging or account-based marketing around the problem has established a nascent interest, and they start looking actively. At that point, you want to understand in the journey that they've been going on when you're talking to recent purchasers, you go, so how did you figure out you actually did need a new solution? You weren't sure. You're looking at the problem in different ways. Were you the only one who's looking for something else at the time? Did other people agree with you? When you were looking around, did you or anyone else try out other tools? What were they? How did you evaluate them? So they've gone from passively thinking there might be a problem to then actively thinking, what is the better way? And that's the pull arrow, if you like, if you remember, the green arrow is pulling you along. This can take a number of time, and it normally involves a number of people. And there's a lot of different frustrations all coming at different angles. And what tends to happen is there's a particular problem that somebody becomes vocal about. But then this inertia kicks in. You've got this fear of change. And what can happen is you can go from one tool to another, and people end up trying to experiment and trying to test. And at some point, they'll come to a conclusion. And what we're trying to understand is what's the process from thinking about a problem to being aware of the problem and actively looking, to then thinking, okay, here was an event that changed my mind, an event. And these events now have made me actively choose a product. So the questions we might ask are, with the one you chose, what was the process to making that decision? Can you recall how you came to purchase the specific tool? What were your barriers to the tool and to your other tools? What are the benefits and the weaknesses? Now, obviously, any good market research will say, well, hold on, this is all recall. This in market research is dangerous. It's people post-rationalizing. If you can get really, really specific with the questioning around that buying journey, you can get enough information to piece together from enough buyers a pattern. And if you can get them recently, so they've only just bought the tool, then they are live and active in the process of justification of their purchase. And that allows them to think a little bit more critically about their journey. Often they'll also have procurement documentation, which you can go through. So when they have it, you'll also then want to look at product market fit and if they can imagine life without it and all these other good questions. But this process is about unpicking the events and the process of deciding. So if we think about this process of deciding, it's a process of finding a solution to getting a job done. And the job that they're trying to get done, that they're they're going to great lengths to procure a tool for, will have a number of steps itself. It will have a number of outcomes that they're seeking. So if you take the example of, they're wanting to, if you want to analyze data, let's take financial services. You want to make better decisions about investments. That would be a big job. I'm KPI'd on making really good investment decisions. The process of getting that job done, it's going to be very detailed. And you're going to want to understand all of those entry points into getting that job done so you can be present during that process. So let's break it down. You're going to have the job that you're trying to get done, such as making financial decisions better. You're going to have the pains they're trying to avoid, so frustration and getting the wrong, making bad investments. The gains they're going to seek, which is that I'm going to want to make more money for my customers and therefore get a promotion. And the alternatives I'm exploring. Well, I might hire consultants to be experts. I might use other data packages or lots of software or other vendors, or I might hire interns. So you can see the top level job to be done will go through a process of once you've understood the process of deciding on a solution, you'll have a better insight as to what the job is they're trying to get done. They're going to have a lot of pains and gains they're going to go through. So if you take this example of which of my private market investments are performing, which are not, there's multiple job steps. There might be that you're trying to reduce time. That could be a pain. You might be looking for more accurate answers. That could be a gain. You might be looking to be more confident that your answer is correct. That's a gain. So you start tagging the insights, and you're starting to understand, okay, in getting the job done and in the process of thinking about a solution to getting the job done, these pains and gains are going to keep popping up through that process. And they're going to come up specifically when they're thinking about, can they get the job done? Should they look at a solution for it? Are there better ways of getting the job done? Who are the vendors that could help them get the job done? These are the pains and gains that are going to keep popping up. So you're going to come up with your job story with this insight. And what you're going to want to do is just always have a very simple job story that understands the nuanced process the person has been trying to go through. So we've got an example here of a CMO who wants to present a marketing plan to the board. That's the situation. They're really motivated to make them look good. They want to demonstrate that it's validated, credible, and exciting so that they can invest money with confidence. So the process of then who can help me, who's the vendor, will be deeply connected with these motivations. In this example, they will respond to the idea that they would have a comprehensive plan. So you might want to, Lees and Fields as a vendor will go, we can deliver a comprehensive plan. We can deliver on your motivations, which is that it's going to be an evidenced and de-risked and creative plan. And you can invest money with confidence because we have this cleverness, these testing methods, these workflows, the team, the project plan. We can give you all of it so that you can invest with confidence. So you can see hopefully how, as someone goes through the process of thinking about a job and getting that job done, and that they will be naturally thinking about the solutions. And as they go and think about the solutions to getting the job done, they'll be considering all of these alternatives and competing products and services. And we need to be understanding that in order to come up with products and services and then messaging for them, which delivers on their all of the needs they have, the pains, the gains, the alternatives through that timeline. What we do is we then map all of this information across this kind of chronology, and we also look at it through the filter of the last insights work that we shared on the last webinar was about the idea of 3 levels of insight, which is that you can have category level and business level and user level. And if you can identify the jobs, the pains, the gains, it's all clear, the social, the emotional, the alternative solutions, and you understand if they're insights that are based on category or business or user, you can then understand what kind of messaging you're going to be talking to or creating through this sales funnel. And this is something that Matt Lerner's been working promoting through his book, Growth Levers. So this work is coming at it from a number of different angles, and we do this kind of collaboratively. So for marketing, there is an implication here that you can get a lot of insight, but you need to kind of distill it down into a value proposition for your B2B. So there's lots and lots of insight. You can see how you can map it and categorize it and tag it and put it across timelines and color code it and whatever. The important thing here is how do you distill it into a value proposition? And then from a value proposition, how do you create interesting communications? So there's something called value matching, whereby you take the jobs, the pains, the gains, I'll come on to the how in a minute, and you map it with, well, what are the features and benefits to get the job done? What are the pain relievers that we've got in our product and service? What are the gain creators we've got in our product and service? The new thing that you create, and we talked about the insights before, the big insights that we kind of focus on. The new thing was one of them. That's related to your product, and the product is related to how it solves your problem for the customer. So let's go into that a little bit in a bit more detail, and we can then understand how to come up with value propositions. There's a value gap between where the customer is right now and where they want to be. And that's what they're hiring the product or service for. Now, most of the time, what they don't understand is how they can get from A to B. The value proposition is how you deliver the desired outcome. Your value is in helping them get their job done. So how you get their job done becomes the thing that you sell. That how could be the steps that you'll take. It could be the expertise that you have. I like the idea of a safety net, so there is no fear or danger to buying. And likewise, there's the delivery promise, which is we will support you in this way. A lot of SaaS products kind of say, we will do this as a platform, good luck. And what we know from working with a lot of these businesses is actually the value is in the service. Yes, you've got this clever platform, and an engineer who's come up with a clever platform is very keen on just kind of stepping back and not being involved with the customers too much. The reality is that the customers are buying on how, not how the platform works, but how you as a company with the platform are going to help deliver on their business objectives. So they will buy on how you help them, not just what the platform does. So the buyers will want to know, how are you going to help them get to where they want to get to? So your unfair advantage or marketing unfair advantage is that most of the time your competitors will be selling what they do or what the customer will get. So there's a gap here. We call it the value gap because it is a gap between what the customers are actually really wanting and what and where they're wanting to get to in order to get to where they want to get to. There's also a gap between what customers are wanting and what competitors are selling. So let's go back to these four forces. If someone's going from the business as usual, one side of that little chasm, to a new solution, new behavior, new outcome, there's lots of things that they're going to be motivated to get to the other side. But there's going to be lots of anxieties around getting there. And you can see quite clearly, I hope, that that's all in the how space. So what you want to do is to motivate people into the market. You're going to say, hey, your current approach is really bad. It's got all these problems. Oh, blimey, okay, maybe I should think about getting to the market. You're going to sell on the right-hand side here, you're going to sell what's possible. The 10x idea comes about because of this inertia that the amount of force pulling the customer back is such that you need to be disproportionately better to be able to motivate action. So you're going to want to go from talking about the what, your product's bad, but you can get to this brilliant solution, and you're going to want to introduce much more help on the how, on the journey to achieve what they want to achieve. So we're going to want to talk about making sticking to the current or staying with the current situation irrational. because the product's really bad. We're going to want to say, hey, actually, we can really help because we've got this guaranteed process you're going to go through and you'll be scooped up and taken care of. All of that stuff will motivate action. This creative, you'll know that it's so good at doing that. So there's a few examples of how this particular campaign has got the push. I want to be cool like him. It's got the pull. I want to be able to achieve the things that the Mac guy on the right can achieve. It's got the messaging, the content they talk about is all the ways they help you, as well as exposing how bad your current situation is. I'll play a few of them.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
Hello, I'm a PC.
We have a lot in common these days.
We both run a Microsoft Office. We share files. It's great. We just get along.
PC. Oh. Okay.
Hi, I'm a PC.
Okay, we're past that. We moved beyond that.
Yeah, I had to restart there. You know how it is.
No, actually, I don't.
Oh, what? Macs don't have to.
We had him, then we lost him. I'm gonna go get IT. Keep an eye on him.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC. What are you reading?
Just the Wall Street Journal. It's nothing. Oh, no. A PC? You know what?
Oh, it's a review of you.
Don't read it.
Oh, it's from Walt Mossberg, one of the most respected technology experts on the planet. Apparently, you're the finest desktop PC on the market at any price. Very nice.
It's just one man's opinion.
I actually got a great review this morning, too.
Oh,
and they said I was awesome.
Good for you.
And so we're the same.
Yeah, what was that in?
The awesome computer review weekly journal.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
Ready to get started?
Well, not quite. Got a lot to do. What's your big plan?
I might make a home movie or maybe create a website, try out my built-in camera. I can do it all right out of the box. So what about you?
Well, first I got to download those new drivers, and I got to erase the trial software that came on my hard drive.
Sweet.
And I've got a lot of manuals to read.
You know, it sounds like you have a lot of stuff to do before you do any stuff, so I'm just gonna get started because I'm kind of excited. Let me know when you're ready.
Actually, the rest of me's in some other boxes, so I'll meet.
So if we go back to the this kind of principle of guiding someone with the pull stuff and the push stuff and removing the worries through the filter of that Mac versus PC stuff, you can feel the here is your anxiety about your current approach. Maybe my PC isn't very smart. Here is my 10x better. All right, straight out of the box, it works just great. Even all the experts think it's the best you can buy. But hold up, how about this sticking to my current situation, or what if I won't succeed? Well, actually, it's a bit crazy. Look how sad and pathetic the PC is versus that's emotional. And then the guaranteed success is, it just works straight out of the box. We can just do all these things straight immediately without thinking about it. So it's easy switching, if you like. So there's within that campaign, there's lots of these principles at play. And I'm going to stick on. And you can see that within, therefore, all of your communications, you can ladder these up. So this is an example landing page template we use for go-to-market. So we have a simple elevator pitch for the job that the segment is trying to get done. So that's right up front. We know that you're trying to get this job done. Here's our elevator pitch. We stick in a call to action, but then we talk about the current problems of inaction. So we talk about all those inertia pains, those things that are kind of holding you back, the irrational nature of not doing anything. And then we also talk about the weaknesses of alternatives, where you're currently doing all these things and it's painful because these alternatives are no good. So that's right up front in the landing page. We then talk about, okay, this is the product. This is our innovation. This is how we solve. This is how we solve the problem. We then talk about the benefits, all the pull and the push stuff, all the stuff you're going to get. Why us? Well, this is our how again. This is how we work. This is why our product works. We've got credibility in all of this, these benefits, this push pull stuff. And we've got credibility in removing the problems that you have, the pains you have. And then a call to action. So it's all woven in to this simple template. And what you get is a go-to-market plan with all this information in the right place. So you can make landing pages, websites, campaigns, new brand, PR strategy, etc. So that's a summary of jobs to be done as best one can do in a short period of time. We've talked about what it is, why it's important for marketing, how to discover jobs, what's the methodologies for asking questions and finding them, and then how to use them and apply them to landing pages or creative campaigns. It's part of our system. The idea is that we create this energy and clarity and swagger for our customers. We give them a really formulaic plan so it just works. And then we build this growth machine so it delivers automation. The last one is pulling it all together. So what does a sprint look like? We have the method, we've gone to the marketing unfair advantage. Now let's talk about a sprint. What happens when, how all these principles are combined and how you create an efficient marketing process, marketing kind of growth process out of it. Speak to us. We're always happy to hear from you, and really keen to get you onto the next webinar as soon as we can get it written. It'll be very shortly. We're just putting it together now, and hopefully we'll see you then. But please send me some notes and let me know what you think. Thanks very much. Cheers, bye.